You are rewarded in life not for what you think, not for what you read or consume, but for what you do. Now, if you wanted to ace an exam, spending your time thinking about how you would go about your study plan, the kind of feelings you're gonna have, will actually not really help you accomplish much in acing that exam, like taking massive amounts of action will. Now, the thing is, people who have a bias towards action, those who are action-oriented, always outperform those who are not. They may not be the smartest people, they may not be the most eloquent speakers, they may not even be the prettiest, but they execute, they take action, they are consistent, they push, and they seem to always operate twice as fast as everyone else. Now, I'm sure you probably have this question in your head. How do I become a more action-oriented person? Now, in this video, I'll be showing you 6 ways on how you can transform yourself from an inactive person to an action-oriented person. Now, let's get into it. Now, the first step is see things for what they really are. Now, what do I mean by this? Let's say you have an exam coming up 3 months from now, and you know deep down in your heart of hearts, you haven't really done anything. But instead of actually coming to terms with the fact that you are not really prepared for this exam, you tend to numb yourself to that anxiety by binging movies, by scrolling through social media, by just doing things that just get your mind off of that negative circumstance, until the exam draws so close that you cannot deny the facts anymore. Now, the thing is, just because the consequences of inaction might not be present at the moment, doesn't mean the consequences aren't real. The best thing you can do for yourself is to not lie to yourself and see things as they really are. If you're behind schedule in the semester, face it. If you know you don't study as often as you should, face it. If you know you need help in a particular course, face it. The earlier you face the truth, the earlier you're actually going to solve that problem, and before it turns to something that is not going to be easily fixable. From the words of Richard Feynman, the first principle is that you must not fool yourself, and you are the easiest person to fool. Let's say you've decided to cut the BS and you're actually going to face things as they are and embrace reality. What do you do next? Now, the next step is to create an action plan. You cannot be action oriented if you do not know which actions to take. At this point, you need to sit down and think to yourself on the things you need to do that will get you what you really want. If it's to ace an exam, what you need to study, or if you want to learn a new skill or that hobby, you can actually figure out the amount of time you're going to spend per day, at what time you're going to carve out for that hobby. Because the thing is, if you do not have a clear sequence of actions in your head that you want to take, it is going to be a whole lot easier for you to get distracted. Because according to Lewis Carroll, if you do not know where you are going to, any road will take you there. And guys, if you're getting a ton of value from this video, please don't forget to hit the like button. It helps with the algorithm. Now let's continue. Okay, now let's say you are sold on creating a plan and you're gonna create your study plan, your hobby plan, whatever plan you want to make. Now you're sold on it. But there is another big mistake can mess up all the momentum you built up so far. And that is number 3, avoid analysis paralysis. Now, analysis paralysis is basically when you are so caught up in creating the best tactics, the best strategies, but you are so caught up in looking for the best thing that you don't even have time to do the best thing. You are analyzing so much that you are paralyzed to actually take action. Now, this is actually one of the biggest dangers of over planning. Sometimes it's even better to actually just take action and iterate along the way, because it's quite easy to fall into this trap of analysis paralysis, especially if you are a perfectionist like me. Maybe you want to start that hobby, maybe you want to start that YouTube channel. You go online looking for the best gear, the best camera, the best light, the best editing software, and you are just in the rabbit hole of looking for the best whatever without you actually creating your first whatever. Now, this may sound a bit cliche, but to be more action oriented, you need to focus more on taking actions, which then leads us to the 4th step. You are only as good as your results. Now, what do I mean by this? If you decide to make a plan and you have a sequence of actions that you want to take and you are taking the actions, the next thing is to measure the level of your actions. For a long time, I used to think I read a lot until I decided to actually measure how much I actually do read. I actually heard a quote from Peter Drucker which goes like this: what you cannot measure, you cannot manage. And when I decided to set the timer, and by the time I was finished reading, when I checked the timer to see how much time I'd spent, what felt like 3 hours was actually just 1 hour and 45 minutes. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, why did I share this story? I shared this because your inputs most times will be in direct proportion to your outputs. And the thing is, if you're consistently getting the wrong outputs or results, then there is something probably wrong with your inputs. And the moment you can effectively measure your inputs, your outputs would almost automatically follow, because you are only as good as your results. The more inputs you put in, the more outputs you get out. The fifth step is to believe in yourself. Henry Ford once said, if you think you can or you think you can't, you are probably right. Now, before you can take steps to becoming an action-oriented person, you first need to believe that you can actually become an action-oriented person. Some people watching this video right now might actually think, oh, that can never be me. I can never become an action-oriented person. The thing with having that kind of mindset is that you've basically shot yourself on the foot before you actually even started running the race. Because the truth of the matter is, you cannot function at a level that is inconsistent with the way you see yourself up here. To change yourself, you need to first change your beliefs about yourself, which then leads us to the sixth point, finding your why. Why do you want to become an action-oriented person? Is it because you want to pass an exam to make yourself and your family proud? Is it because you want to learn a new skill that could potentially change your life? Is it because you want to look at yourself in the mirror and respect yourself more? Whatever your reasons may be, you need to be clear on them, because when you are clear on your why, the journey to becoming a more action-oriented person will be a whole lot more meaningful to you, and which will actually make you stay on the path. Because the thing is, being an action-oriented person is not natural. You are basically working against nature. If all of us were to follow our natural impulses, easiest path to take is to lie around all day, sit down and do nothing, compared to the more difficult path of actually becoming an action-oriented person and taking steps and actions that can literally potentially transform your life forever. When you understand why you are fighting the battle against your own human nature, you actually gain the resilience to stay in the fight to actually win that battle against yourself. According to Friedrich Nietzsche, he who has a why to live for can bear almost any how. And guys, if you like this video, please don't forget to hit the like button. It helps with the algorithm. And if you enjoyed this video, I think you're going to like this video about 7 little changes that you can do right now to transform your life forever. And like always guys, remember to always keep it real. Bye guys.